Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Spanning the Need. Tonight, we're going to talk to the 2020 Hope Honoree for Lifetime Achievement, Amy Zell, who was awarded the award back. Well, I should say you're an honoree, but we haven't had the event yet for the Hope Foundation of the Mahoning Valley. Amy, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And you know what? If people really don't know, is you were an honoree for the 2020 Wine for Hope, which got canceled because of the pandemic, which we're all going through right now. The event has been canceled for the 2021 as well, and we hope to honor the class of 2020 and the class of, we're going to say 2022 in 2022. What does that mean to you of receiving this award?
It's amazing to me. I can't even tell you how much it means to me. The caliber of people that have received this award in the past, I would have never thought that I would be included in a group like that. It's fantastic. And the things that the Hope Foundation does for the community and for the children in our community, it's such an honor to be included in something that means so much to everyone.
And and before we kind of get into the Hope Award and everything like that, talk a little bit about yourself, your background, kind of where you are career-wise and to where you are now, because things have kind of changed from, I think, about a year or two ago, but at the same time, kind of understand your background and kind of where you got to today.
Okay, so I think that when I was nominated for the award, I was working at the Hubbard Public Library as a teen librarian, which I love that job. I love those kids that I worked with, everything about it. They were fantastic. There were a lot of changes in library world. And fortunately, before they got shut down, I took a position at Goodwill in Youngstown, which was a wonderful opportunity too. I met some really great people and got to help them with their futures and establishing new careers as people went through changes with COVID and everything that happened, teaching digital skills and going out in the community for that. And now I'm at Last Community Services. They're based in Columbus, Ohio, but I work remotely. And I'm taking one of their programs statewide to serve survivors of suicide loss, which is really where my passion is and something that I have worked on consistently through all those positions.
And what kind of made you, so if I'm understanding correctly, you've kind of in that realm of really helping the community in general, in some facet.
Always.
What made you kind of, what in your past really got you to where you are now?
So volunteering was always something that I was raised to do. My dad always worked 3 jobs to take care of us when we were little. But if someone needed something, he would go without, always, and take care of the people around him and the people that he knew personally and could take care of. So I was raised to take care of people. My mom, when I was young, worked at the Mercer County AIDS Task Force doing educating for AIDS awareness. So I learned to be very accepting and opening to diverse communities and learned how to interact with people that might not have the same experiences that I have and respect those experiences. And I continued that, of course, as I matured and had my own family and taught those things to my children. But in 2009, I lost my son, who was 16, to suicide. And a couple weeks after, picked up the phone and called the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And we started, myself and Brenda Casola, who used to be in the community, started the Out of the Darkness Walk in Youngstown. And for the first 3 years of that walk, we ran that. During that time, we couldn't get a board established locally. They decided they wanted to go with like the whole upper half of Ohio. That wasn't an option for us. So I started my own nonprofit doing prevention in my spare time, because there's so much spare time when you have 3 children and work 2 jobs and yeah, lots of spare time. But I would do different trainings. I'm QPR certified, so I can go out and do QPR certification trainings for people. It's what's needed. And we need so much more of it in our area. I'm currently working with the Trumbull County Suicide Coalition to start a loss team in Trumbull County, which means that as first responders, we'll be dispatched by the coroner to go out to the scene and help families through those events as they happen, and provide resources. We run a support group right now. Little quick plug. Second Thursday of every month in Hubbard at 6:30 at the First Baptist Church.
Make as many plugs as you'd like.
Thank you. We're still growing. We have a very small group, but there are so many people affected by suicide loss in our community that we just need more. We need more people involved. We need more services. We need more programs. And I'm also helping Mahoning County start off all of their initiatives as a resource.
And I think that's I think that's kind of what, I mean, we looked at a variety of back there, and the honorees, the way it works is we have nominations from the community, and we usually get a lot of nominations. And so we're there that, hey, it's the understanding is these are our honorees. And then, I mean, the stuff that we get, and I'd like to talk a little bit about suicide right now. Mental capacity right now, because of the pandemic, is becoming top two in our area, in other than the pandemic itself.
Right.
Talk a little bit about what you see, or what some of the telltale signs of mental health, suicide, because I will say this, especially our children right now, because they're not going to school, they're not seeing their friends. There was a group out west, I'm not exactly sure, they talked about how I think more than 10 or 12 kids in their school committed suicide. So if you're a viewer and you're a teacher or an educator, what are some of the telltale signs, or just some information that can help people maybe recognize it, or maybe talk to that person?
Okay. Well, first, if you're an educator and you can get your school to bring in speakers, do it. So many schools, I hear from the kids that they go in and they'll say, well, so-and-so said they didn't want to live anymore. And I don't know if they're serious or not. So I went to my teacher, and my teacher said, don't worry about it. Or I went to my guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor called that person out of class, and then they felt stupid and they won't talk to anybody about anything now. Bring in resources that tell the kids where to go. Make sure your adults know where to go and how to find the help in each of your individual communities, because there's great resources out there, but if we're not sharing them, we can't get any help to the people who are straight up asking for it. But also know that they're not all asking for it. If you see a child every day, or even adult, a coworker, a friend, someone that you see on a team or in the office, wherever, watch for changes. You can usually tell. There'll be physical signs. I know one of the strongest signs with my son was he had gone from like standing up straight and walking around like he owned the world to hunched over, looking like he was carrying the world. And right away, watching that for a couple days, sometimes when you're in it, you don't see it as much. I saw it because I knew what I was watching for. But other people see it when they don't see you all the time. So if you see something like that with somebody that you don't frequently see, or with someone that you do, talk to them, ask them what's going on, ask them if they're okay. Learn to say, are you suicidal? Are you thinking about suicide? Straight up ask the question. You're not going to put the idea in anybody's head. Everybody knows about it. It doesn't plant some thought there. But straight up ask someone, because if you say, are you going to hurt yourself? People who are honestly suicidal don't think they're hurting themselves when they die by suicide. And we say die by suicide because committed has that connotation of being a crime. So we use die by. They're thinking that they're either going to end this overbearing amount of pain inside them. They just need to stop the pain. So they're not hurting themselves. So when you ask that question, are you thinking about hurting yourself? They're not going to answer that honestly. Not the honest answer that you're thinking you'll receive. You have to straight up ask them, are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking of killing yourself? And not be afraid of that. And then know what to do when they say yes or no. And know when it's a panic situation that you want to call the police and have them picked up and taken to the hospital because you can't handle it. Or if you want to just sit with them while they call a counselor and make a session with someone. Depends on the circumstances. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is some of your most successful, happiest people are at the biggest risk. The people who take care of everyone else, who never show any signs of there being anything wrong at all. My son was the kind of person who in 3rd grade, he brought all his books to school and created a classroom library because his 3rd grade teacher was a first-year teacher and didn't have any library books for the kids to take out, but they had to earn AR points to go to parties based on books. So he was like, that's perfect. Let me take my library in and fix that. So he took all his books to school in 3rd grade and passed them out to all the kids and helped them with that. In 6th or 7th grade, he started a snack drive because everybody was playing with their Teddy Grahams and having wars and throwing them away. And he's like, I know that there's kids that you work with, because at the time I was doing therapeutic behavior support for ACCG and PA. So I was doing wraparound work, and I was working in Farrell, and I would go to the community center after school. And he's like, Mommy, I know that there's kids that aren't eating. What if I collect all these packaged snacks and you take them to the community center? So, I mean, he was that kind of kid all the way up till a couple weeks before he died by suicide. Someone said that he stood up for them on the bus because somebody was giving him a hard time. It's any straight A student, you know, great kid. Nobody would have thought anything was wrong. You have to watch for those kids that have
fully
that
understand
success. Yeah.
And I think that shows what kind of that you give back to the community in some shape or form because of an experience that you went through that I can't imagine what you went through.
Well,
and I think
experience it as well.
I don't think anyone should experience that at all. And I commend you for what you do and giving back to the community. And I think this is just a great story that people need to understand. You're getting this because of a lifetime achievement of what you've been doing over so many years. And if people don't understand, this is an award that's given out from the H.O.P.E Foundation of Mahoning Valley, which raises money for chronically and terminally ill kids. So what happens is that these children get medical treatment and they're financially assisted. And just so everyone understands, is this award is presented by the foundation to individuals who are honorable, outstanding, philanthropic, and who have donated their time, energy, and resources to improve the quality of life of children in the area. So I just want to commend you for what you've done over the years, which you're so entitled to this honor.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
And I think one thing, and let me ask this, and I'll ask this question because I never understand, and I'm the one that sends out the emails to everyone, unfortunately, whether they get it or not. What was it like to get that email? Or because we usually, what we'll do is we'll announce first thing in the morning, but then we send out the emails like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, wake up to checking, because I know I'd be checking my email like trying like this, and I'm like, you got to read it. So what was that like?
So how about I didn't get it that way because I changed jobs and it went to that email for work. So it was announced that I was getting congratulations, and the person who nominated was like, did you know? She sent me an email. She's like, I wasn't allowed to tell you, but it's out there now. So do you know? And I'm like, what? Me? Are you kidding? I haven't done anything. All I do is support people and, you know, educate. That's not award worthy. You know, I had no idea. So I was like probably twice as shocked as everybody else because no idea. I'm getting these congratulations going. What are you talking about?
Well, it's funny because everyone gets those emails and then we announce it in the mornings. Mm-hmm. And we announce it in general, and people don't know. We do it. We like that surprise, and I think that's what the most part about that is.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was a huge surprise. It was really great, and I like that you do it that way because it's so real like that because. I know I can speak for everybody who has ever got it. We don't do it for the thank yous. We don't do it for awards. We do it because it's what we feel passionate about. The things that I do, I don't want anybody to thank me for. I want them to live another day. Live one more day. I don't need an award. Just keep living. That's all I want. So that surprise was just like, There are no words. So it's just amazing.
Because I remember when we send it just an off we send it, and then we either will get the email, or they're so shocked that they won't send us an email back because you have to respond.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about, so you've done a lot, and your true passion is suicide awareness and prevention. And I think this is a great presentation to kind of tell a little bit about what you've done in the past. And I just wanted to show our appreciation for what you do and everything like that. During the pandemic, and I think we hit a little bit about this, has the pandemic increased a lot of that mental and suicidal areas that you've seen?
So it definitely has enhanced people's awareness of their mental health, whether they're suffering from a mental illness or they're learning finally self-care and finally having the time to do self-care, because that's hugely important. It's going to be interesting to see how much of an increase there actually is. I'm more concerned with an increase in suicide after the pandemic and after everybody's able to go back out. I believe most of the numbers coming back right now, there has not been an increase yet, which is great, but that does not mean that it's not happening. And it doesn't mean that there aren't pockets of different places that do have an increase. The thing is going to be, we've spent all this time not connecting. We really need to reach out. You need to find your 5 people that you talk to every day, that you reach out, like 5 different people, reach out to them every day and make sure they're feeling connected to someone. Even if you don't know them well, you know, someone that you talk to at some other organization, call them up and be like, hey, how are you doing? Thought of you today. The thing that's going to happen is that we're all going to come out of the pandemic, and some people are going to have the same jobs they had before and not feel like anyone missed them, because they're just going to pick up where they left off and keep going, and they're going to feel less important. And that's going to affect things. There's a lot of things where children aren't receiving necessarily the support that they got outside the home. And that may have been what they really needed the most. So there could be a lot of children affected that way. It's just reach out to people, connect. That's going to be the thing that helps the most.
Well, and I think, well, have you been working from home?
I've been doing both. I work from home, and then I
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing that we look at is that how that'll affect the kids when they go back to school. Because I think we haven't hit all the kids, because you really can't see them all. They could be block screen, anything along those lines. So I think that we'll see the broader impact, unfortunately, later. And I know that the Hope Foundation has reallocated additional funds for chronic and terminally ill kids, because there's a lot of need out there. So if you're a family out there that needs financial assistance, just go to hopemv.org. It's at the bottom of the screen. And we want to make sure that you get the necessary help, no matter if it's suicide prevention or even financial assistance.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't think it belongs to someone else, that you're not as bad as someone else, and you're not going to ask for that help because someone else might need it more. Just ask. And if you need it for your children, don't just put aside that little bit of pride that might stop you, and get those kids that help that they need.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know you're excited to be honored at the Wine for Hope when we have it in 2022. And
I bought the cutest dress. I wonder if it'll fit then.
Huh?
I bought the cutest dress. I was so excited.
Well, and unfortunately, we had to cancel the event, and we hope to get it back again, up and running. And the announcement just went out, and so and let me ask this: what are your plans for the future? I mean, you're doing a volunteer, you're doing a nonprofit, you're doing all types of things. What's the plan for the future?
Continue. Just keep doing it. The organization that I work for right now out of Columbus, we're going to take some of the lost the survivor of suicide loss programs and expand them statewide. So I'm hoping that Trumbull County and Mahoning County and Columbiana County people will join us for gatherings at 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights. We have a great one Tuesday, March 9th, with a yoga instructor from Girard, Ohio. She's going to do self-care with Kelly. She's fantastic. We're just going to keep working to save lives. That's my goal every day. And everybody can do it. Smile when you see someone. Hold the door for someone. Be kind to someone. You see someone with a toddler in the store and the kid's throwing a tantrum, instead of saying, oh, what a terrible parent, say, well, I remember when my kids were little like that. That must be so hard for that person to have to handle right now. And try to make it easier. Let them cut in front of you in line and get out of the store faster. Just be positive. A
little bit more patience.
Yeah. Extend grace.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that I hope everyone relates to and everyone does, and that'll be a good thing, we hope.
Yeah.
Amy, if someone wanted to get a hold of you about something with suicide prevention, or just, hey, maybe I need some additional information, where can people reach out to you? Facebook, Twitter, what do you got?
Everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My cell phone number is 330-506-1232. I know everybody's like, don't share your personal cell phone number. I don't care if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. If I'm asleep and I hear the phone, I'll answer it, and I'm there to listen.
Hey, my phone, if you Google,
you need.
Yeah, if you Googled my cell phone number, it's out there. It's been out there I've had the same number for 20 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
I appreciate you taking time, and I appreciate you sharing your story as well. I think that says a lot, kind of you're stepping into that realm of unknown that you did back then, and really have taken it to the next step.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you do. It's incredible, the outreach that you do and the impact that you have on the community.
One day at a time. One day at a time. That's all I got.
Yep.
So I appreciate you taking time, everyone. If you'd like to watch, or if you'd like to reach out to her, she's given your information. You can find her on Facebook. You need her anything like that, I'll also put up some information as well on our thing. So Amy, at the end of every show, I like to ask some fun questions. Are you interested in taking the dive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you're sure you want to risk it.
I've had more risks in my life, so I just keep going with them. One of them will crash and burn. So the answer to these questions can be personal or professional. There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
Best accomplishment.
That's not fair. Can I give you two?
Yeah.
Everybody who's still here who has talked to me who's considered suicide would be one.
Okay.
Just that they knew that they could reach out and that they're here. And the second would be, I used to work with this little boy who was 5 years old, and he was the youngest in his family. And when I went to work with him one day, he said, Miss Amy, you're going to be, oh, no, you're not. You won't be mad, but I have to tell you what I did. And I'm like, okay.
You know how those start.
I'm not going to be mad. And he goes, because you never get mad. You tell me to do what I'm supposed to do, and you don't get mad because you say that it's okay. I just got to be me. And I'm like, okay, what'd you do? He said, a little girl threw a rock at me last night. I said, okay. He said, Mom told me to throw a rock back. I said, okay. Now you got to understand, in his community, that's the right answer. And you never want to disrespect where a child is growing up, because that's not successful for them either. I said, what'd you do? He said, well, I thought about it, and you would have told me to listen to my mom. I said, I would have. Would I? And he's like, well, kinda. I threw the rock at her. I made sure I missed because I knew you didn't want me to hurt anybody else. That's a huge accomplishment. When a 5-year-old can realize that you have to act a certain way in your community, but you don't have to cause the harm when you do the action, that was big. So I'm real proud of that.
That 5-year-old must, hey, Cleveland Indians is a 5-year-old that's got an arm out there. Best memory.
So many of them. So many. The
2022 Wine for Hope.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be a great memory when it happens. Best memory. Probably my kids being born.
Okay.
You know,
No,
first
nothing
time
wrong with
nails
that.
at mom.
Now we're going to get a little bit more challenging. Best experience. These are harder questions than the other ones.
Yeah. What's up with that? Best experience.
That's how I roll.
To be. There's a lot of those too.
You can give me a couple if you want.
I got remarried a couple years ago, about 4 years ago. And I can't say that like any marriage is better than the other kind of thing, but my family grew from my 3 kids to I have 10 children and like 18 grandchildren.
So you have like a baseball team.
I have probably an entire league. I don't know. So best experience is every time I get to talk to someone else in my extended family because they're just amazing. I love them all.
So do you get your grandkids all hypered up and send them back to your kids?
Sometimes. Yeah.
I do that.
Because my own children haven't had children yet. So
oh boy. But
yeah.
still payback.
Yeah.
It's payback from all it. It's like payback all the times you gave me trouble. Now I'm going to sugar up your kids and send them back. Remember the times when we used to do this?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Role model.
My son.
Okay.
And my daughters. Him for who he was and the girls for who they grew to become. They were 9 and 11 when he died. And that could have went a whole different way for them. They both volunteer, and my youngest was the executive director for Gwynathon at YSU this year. For the last 4 years, she's raised thousands and thousands of dollars for Akron Children's Hospital through Gwynathon. She's on the board of a local organization, and she just got an internship at H.O.P.E Network. And my older daughter is she's never let anyone sit alone. No matter where she goes. She sees somebody alone eating, she'll talk to them. She sees them sitting alone on the side of the road, she'll stop and talk to them. Yeah, my kids.
Understood. Okay, here's probably the most challenging and thinking question. If there was one person you would want to meet, past or present, who would it be and why?
William Shakespeare.
And why?
Because he's funny.
Okay.
Every modern insult we have comes from William Shakespeare.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
I don't think you could ever have a dull moment.
That's a good point. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Amy, it's a pleasure. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem. I appreciate you sharing your story and coming on, and we hope you're welcome on this show anytime you see that we can get an update down the road on suicide prevention or anything else you want to share. More than happy to have you.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We hope you enjoyed this educational, as well as congratulating Amy for her 2020 Hope Honoree. We are in 2021, but because of the Wine for Hope being canceled, we'll honor her in 2022. Thank you, everyone. If you'd like to see more podcast interviews or announcements, you can go to anthonyvspano.com. Amy, thank you. Everyone, stay safe. God